out your dicks, get ready to fap. It's time for your favorite show, The Grease Trap. Pull out your dicks, get ready to fap. It's time for your favorite show, Grease Trap.
Hey everybody, welcome to yet another edition of The Grease Trap here on the delightful Deep Fat Fried channel. Paul is doing the royal wave. You know, I actually saw the movie The King's Speech.
Yeah.
Won an Oscar like a few years back. I finally got around to maybe I'll check that out.
And I watched it like 10 years ago, dude.
Yeah, I saw at the end. I saw at the end him doing the little royal wave or whatever, and I'm like, wow, that looks really weird. You know?
I like royal waves and like dictator waves because there's like so many different ones, you know?
Yeah. What is it with becoming a dictator and having to like come up with your own hand gesture, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you know, you don't want to do it, but the Nazis had one.
Yeah.
Hitler had
I'll
one.
sig heil. I don't give a fuck.
Whoa,
I'm just
TJ.
illustrating that it existed. This is what it was
That's
like.
the Roman. That's supposed to be like thought of like the Roman salute, you know.
Hell,
like
Americans used to do it to the flag before we're like, oh, this makes us look like too much like the Nazis. We'll put our hand on our heart instead.
They might have found something in the woods. Like there was a meteorite that crash landed. I don't know what this is. Hope it's nothing
Whoa.
dangerous.
You probably shouldn't have touched it,
What
Scotty.
the fuck is it?
I'm sure it's fine.
Oh
you
shit!
know?
That's the blob, Scotty. You got the blob.
Nah, man, it's good.
The blorb.
The blorb. No, if it was the blob, you'd already be dead.
I know.
It would have already eaten you. So it must be a dead blob.
Yeah, I found a dead blob. That's my luck, dude.
You lucked out. You lucked out this time. Like, that is you are lucky if you found a dead one. If you found a live one, you would be part of it now, Scotty.
Well,
Who can say?
Unless that's what you're going for. In which case, more power to you, I guess.
dude, I can't believe I heard a few years ago, right around the time that Rob Zombie was remaking Halloween. I heard he was going to remake The Blob. I'm so glad that fucking fell through because I do not think I do not want a fucking Rob Zombie blob.
No. I want Rob Zombie to make any movie I like or remake any movie that I've previously enjoyed. I'm not saying The Blob is like the best film ever made, but I just think it's better than what he would do with it.
I really love both versions of The Blob. I mean, I like the 80s version better because it's just more my speed. 50s version is not bad though. It's kind of they both kind of have a lame ending. Like I feel like the Blob being like weak against cold is just stupid.
You just want a don't eat the plants ending.
Yeah.
Or the blob just takes over the whole planet.
That's not 100% true. I feel like I could get down with them killing the blob, but I wish it was something cooler than ice.
How would they do it then?
I don't know.
It would be not lame.
I have no idea. Maybe they have to like build like a good blob to fight the evil blob. I don't know.
It actually sounds lamer than the ice, TJ.
I don't know, because then you could at least have a big battle scene.
There's like a blue blob that they
Yeah,
make.
and that like they're like fucking fighting each other for like trying to consume one another.
It'd be like an acid or something.
I don't know. I just want the don't feed the plants ending. Fuck defeating the blob. The blob should win.
It's got to be something like, I don't know. I don't think the freezing thing is that bad because it makes sense. Like the blob, like it can ooze through things. It's obviously not susceptible to burning because it just, can heat up and smother the fire. But like freezing it makes sense. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, but it just like, it sucks that the blob, who seems like this unstoppable thing, would just be like, uh-oh, it's winter. Now the
People always
blob
talk
is
like
fucking, he's
the
fucked.
Thane versus the Blob, and it's like they both have the same weakness. It's like the Thane like crash landed in Antarctica, and was like, oh, can't go anywhere.
Oh fuck, it's cold. Better hibernate.
Yeah, so it's like the Blob just can't move. It's like too cold. And then of course you can break the Blob apart at that point. But you know what? That crazy dude. Remember that crazy fucking like preacher or whatever? He kept the little fucking
The
bit of
little
blob
piece of the blob.
Like,
What about the T-1000 from Terminator 2? That was weak against fucking cold too. If it hadn't,
It's liquid though. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
like it's, you know, if you're gonna make something that is a liquidy substance or whatever that's your antagonist, you're gonna have to come up with a reason why ice can't affect it. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, it's just kind of inherent to the form of the monster. Like ice is gonna fight a water monster, but you know, it's like Dungeons and Dragons, dude. If you're going up against a water elemental, are you gonna fling water at it? You know what I mean? Nah.
Yeah.
Fling fire or ice or whatever the fuck, you know.
Well, plus, I mean, don't they use like liquid nitrogen against the T-1000?
Yeah, I mean, they don't really set out meaning to. It just happens to be that the truck that crashes is full of it, and you know.
Yeah, I just looked it up, and that's stored at like 195.79 Celsius, 320 negative 320 degrees Fahrenheit. So I mean,
right.
Yeah, that's a pretty tall order for that.
That's the same thing. They kill the blob with that at the end of fucking. Well, they don't really kill him, I guess, but you know
I mean, like if they wanted to do something different, they could make it like a cold blob. Like make it like a blob that's like it's so alien that it's, you know, homeostatic temperature is, you know, -10 or some shit. You know what I mean? And it just freezes and consumes anything that it eats. And then you'd have to come up with a cooler way. But like if it's just a liquidy thing, like of course you're gonna try dumping liquid nitrogen on it or spraying it with a fucking cold shit or whatever, and locking it in the freezer.
Yeah.
You know, you can't leave weaknesses unless you want to exploit them.
Well, anything that is going to at all obey the laws of physics, I mean, you're going to have to do that. So, yeah, TJ, I think that as far as I'm concerned, freezing the blob is still a good ending. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems too easy. Seems like
how is it too easy, dude? The blob
just too
fucking
damn
wreaks
easy.
havoc.
Yeah, but you know, both times they just fucking stop him dead in his tracks, right in his first town. Like, you know, he doesn't even need a fucking couple towns first. You know, Blob shows up. Oh my god, he's such a threat. Oh wait, he's weak against ice. Fuck you, Blob. You're a pussy.
Is such a fucking menacing force, and it comes on so suddenly, and like you have to like.
Yeah, that's why him having such a fucking obvious weakness is kind of lame to me. But I guess it makes sense, you know.
Why, like, I want them to remake the Blob, but it's not an alien; it's gray goo, because they wouldn't be fucked over by no ice or nothing.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, if it's just a bunch of little nanobots, yeah.
Yeah, they'd be able to create like heat and melt the ice and keep their temperature stable and all that shit. So yeah, redo the Blob and make it nanobots and shit.
Yeah, then they'd have to
nanobots can escape the factory or whatever it is. Like these nanobots are going to be able to build factories and roads and do all kinds of stuff. Then of course, you know, they get out of control and people start being turned into gray goo.
But fuck the gray goo, keep it pink.
Oh, well, whatever, pink goo. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's a fucking movie.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the nanobots are created from used a biological protein that makes them pink from salmon or some shit, you know?
Dude, Netflix can do that. They can do their next Netflix movie with for what they can do like a Black Mirror movie, like a crossover. You know, it's like this technology is going to save humanity. Well, it'll take care of all these problems, cancers, climate change, everything. It's like we've reached a new era. But let alone do we not reach a new era. We reached a new error.
Oh, shit.
You know, the shit sweeps the no, please. I don't want to become pink goo.
I mean, it seems pretty fucking ripe for the picking, but I don't really think Hollywood is smart, creative, or cares enough anymore to do something good with an old franchise like that.
I mean, I think Total Recall, if anything, just showed me that. Because, I mean, like, one thing we never even talked about when we talked about that Total Recall shit was like all of the stuff, like all of the meat left on the bone of that concept. Like there's so much more you could have done with the concept of like, we can artificially implant memories now. Like, and they didn't try to do anything with it that wasn't already done with the original. In fact, they just kind of took stuff away, but somehow had a longer runtime.
Remakes are a tricky thing because it's like, I feel like I'm almost more forgiving of them the older a movie is. Like the older and less culturally relevant a movie becomes, the more forgiving I am of remakes. And oftentimes I'll watch movies and be like, damn, that was badass. And then I'll find out after the fact, like, oh, this is a movie from the fucking 40s or some shit, you know?
Right.
So I'm cool with that kind of thing. Like, even if it's close to a shot to shot, like they don't have, like, the further away from the original movie that you are, the less you have to bring to the table to justify the remake. You know what I mean?
Right.
In my mind.
But I think that sometimes like people make movies of like films that are relatively recent and still have like strong cultural relevancy and shit. So it's like,
if you're going to do that, in my mind, the impetus is on you to bring something new and different. And they tried to do that with the fucking Total Recall remake by getting rid of Mars and making this stupid fucking completely implausible elevator that goes to the core of the fucking planet. You talk about something that would destroy everything and everyone in it if it actually existed. There you go. But whatever, and it just didn't work. That's all they added. And they subtracted so much. They subtracted all of the visual interest. It looks dull. It looks drab. It was trying to be Blade Runner instead of fucking Total Recall. It wasn't colorful. The lead character was a total downgrade from Schwarzenegger's Quaid. You know what I mean? Fucking
yeah, I don't. Colin, I mean, like when you call fucking Schwarzenegger a bad actor, if Schwarzenegger is a bad actor, Colin Farrell is just straight up not an actor. Like he doesn't emote shit in that movie.
Or in any movie, really. Like Colin Farrell has been good in a couple movies that I've seen, and they've both been films where like his natural deadpan, I have nothing behind my eyes nature is like actually served by the character he's cast as,
Yeah,
so,
I gotcha.
But it's just like this character of Quaid, like actually put them side by side. You know what I mean? Put Schwarzenegger's Quaid next to fucking Colin Farrell's Quaid, right? Schwarzenegger's Quaid is a man with dreams, aspirations. Say what you want about how he delivers his lines and how his acting is. What is delivered in the performance? He's a dude with dreams. He's a dude with aspirations. He has a goal. He's obsessed with something and he wants to pursue it. He has the crushing desire to escape his life of drudgery and all this shit. None of that reads in Colin Farrell's character at all. You barely tell that he's pissed off about his job. You can barely tell that he's nonplussed by the fact that everybody in his life is a spy. You know what I mean? It's just like he just feels so empty and so he's like an avatar for us to project ourselves onto, and there's no character and
also no ambiguity to Total Recall the remake. There really isn't.
That's true. Yeah, they take that was it a dream kind of thing that happens at the end of Total Recall and completely blow it away, and they're like, no, it wasn't. It's real, and it's like, oh.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Thanks for treating me like I'm a fucking 5-year-old that doesn't understand how to like infer things about movies without it being explicitly told to me. You know what else I started to watch the other night and we didn't get through it because we just got tired or whatever. Dark City.
Yeah.
You seen the movie Dark City, right?
Yeah.
Dude, I'd forgotten Dark City opens with this completely unnecessary monologue by Kiefer Sutherland's character. He's like, at first, there was nothing. And then came the strangers. They are alien species that have a power to control reality. They call this power tuning. You know what I mean? It's like a 3-minute monologue that literally, if you have a brain in your head and you just watch the movie and it didn't exist, you would get all of that from the movie. You know what I mean? It's just,
dude, when I tried and I did not succeed, when I tried to watch Ready Player One, like I popped that movie on. I'm like, all right, let's check out what Spielberg's done with this little nostalgia movie, because it's like 1,000,000,001 nostalgic things going on in the movie. That's like the big sales point. And it literally, like, I sat there and I fucking watched 10 minutes solid of exposition. Just like 10 solid minutes of nothing but.
This is the world we live in. This is
let me explain.
On.
And you know what was fucking crazy about it? The movie would explain something and then show a scene that also explained what was just explained through exposition.
Oh, yeah.
And I was just like, what am I watching? And then I turned it off. I couldn't fucking handle it. I just turned it right the fuck off at that point.
I don't blame you. When I get a movie like that is treating me like I'm a kindergartner, I don't watch it. It's like part of the fun of a movie for me is figuring it out on my own and following the threads and making inferences and being right or being wrong about my calls. Like that's a movie.
Yeah.
Me. And it's like I'm trying to remember. Oh, we were just watching that Contagion movie.
Yeah.
So much expository shit hidden behind what is supposed to be just a scene. We've got like 2 high-level CDC members, epidemiologists and experts in pandemics who are like, actually, what happens in a pandemic is, you know what I mean? And it's like,
yeah,
these are people who would know that. So find another way to tell the audience who doesn't know that.
Dude, you know what? I hate it.
Doesn't know that.
There's been a fucking I've seen Doug Walker complaining about this a few times. This fucking it's kind of like the what you're just talking about, like this the as you know, like they'll tell a character like, as you know, and then they'll go do some expository shit. It's like, why would you, like, no one does that, you know? Scotty, as you know, you're a fucking bitch. You know? It's like, doesn't make any fucking sense, man. I hate exposition. Okay, so I guess sometimes I guess it's necessary to have some exposition, and that's fine. I mean,
Well, yeah,
you know,
of course.
you don't want to fucking.
I don't think anyone's making the argument exposition is totally unnecessary for a movie. Of course, there's scenes where exposition makes sense. But we're just saying the ham-fisted, like, it is the year 2172. Aliens have invaded, or you know, it's like, oh man, come on, dude. Like, you know, like the last remnants of humanity have held out at this one base in Antarctica.
Some of these movies are so fucking soulless and lame that like almost everything just becomes exposition in it. Like,
well, because you know what happens? They film this movie, they realize it makes no sense on its own, or they have no confidence that's going to make any sense. It's one of those two things. So they have to add in a bunch of shit like that. It's like, oh no, the movie doesn't make sense unless we add in 50,000 scenes of exposition, or we're too worried the audience is dumb, so we're going to add it in anyways.
Dude, I know that you've never watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. I don't think either of you have, but
well, Taylor's watched it.
You could just trust me when I say like the original show is like very character driven and like it's good. The fucking movie is, and I never actually have fucking sat down and watched the whole thing, but I've seen like several YouTube reviews of it and shit.
I've seen like 40 minutes of it with Taylor.
It's just like nonstop exposition. Like no one, it's basically just like it's like the most rote storytelling possible. Just like character goes to point C, does things G, explains thing fucking F, and then they move on to the next location and do it all again.
Disgrace. And I'm not even saying that as someone like, I don't give a fuck about Avatar. That movie is a fucking disgrace. I mean, like they got so much wrong. And you know what? The new one that Netflix is coming out with, the fucking two creators, like a whole bunch of Avatar fans are like, well, you know what? The two original creators of Avatar working with Netflix. And I'm all like, it's going to fall through. They're going to leave the project. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Guess who just left the project? It's going to be a shit show, dude. It's going to be a fucking shit show. I've tried to tell people this. I'm like, anything you love, if it's been animated, when Hollywood or the big or one of these studios, like Netflix now, I mean, they're kind of within Hollywood, maybe with a little bit without. When they get a hold of this shit, they're going to go, what do you love about this? Let's just squeeze it all out.
Do you guys
with a turd?
You know, Paul, I mean, I got to say, you're lucky that you got your fucking Lord of the Rings movies like the way you did.
I know.
Because, like, I mean, so many people have been done dirty. I was done so dirty with, like, the Harry Dresden shit. Like, I read the Dresden Files. I was super into those books. I was on the fucking fan forums and shit. And, like, when that show was being developed, like, it was like, oh, Sci-Fi's developing a show. We're like, ooh, Sci-Fi. And they're like, no, don't worry. It's going to be good. It's going to be quality. They're, like, putting their best foot forward in this. We're like, okay. You know?
But Jim Butcher is intimately involved.
Oh, Jim Butcher, the author, was like, guys, I've been on the set and, like, I've talked to these guys and they get it. They get what the fucking books are about, man. It's like, wow, yeah, okay. We're getting so excited and shit.
Hops into his Acura.
Oh, my God, it was awful.
It's fucking great, dude.
I mean, I bitched about it before, but they just, like, took such a fucking... They just fucking, like, within 10 minutes of watching the show, just, like, everything was fucked.
Dude, why do you think that... I mean, Paul especially, but why do you think we've defended Lord of the Rings so many times? Okay, 3 books, 3 movies.
Yeah, and I mean, I could fucking...
Not 9 movies, not 15 fucking movies, not let's drag this out as long as possible. Let's tell the story. Yeah, I know they're longer movies, but they're fine.
If there was a fucking adaptation of, like, one of the book series that I liked that was as faithful, I'd be fucking... I'd be
And
happier
dude,
to pig and shit about that for sure.
There's a graveyard of fucking movies that have done these books dirty. Like, remember Aragon? Everyone loved that book. That fucking kid in Montana wrote or whatever.
Oh yeah,
Terrible
yeah.
Ray Liotta, fucking Artemis Fowl. It's another one.
People were so pissed. I never read those books, but I've seen that people are fucking super pissed. Like another thing where Disney, I guess, just totally missed the mark.
Percy Jackson. A bunch of people love that shit. Fucking also, the fans destroyed it. Was no good. It's like, it's so seldom and so rare. Peter Jackson and New Line Cinema, like that gamble they made, $300 million, fucking filmed this in New Zealand. And that movies to be as good as they are is a fucking anomaly. It's somehow like just, I don't know how it fucking happened. It was like one of those rare anomalies in the studio system where someone just got convinced and made the right bet. And they made the studio a bunch of money.
Because it really is rare. Because what ended up happening is that the studio took a property that they knew was beloved and foundational, and they hired a director who loved the books, and they facilitated him with enough money to do crazy shit. Like he created fucking an entire like blacksmith studio to forge armor and sword. That they had a whole giant workshop for all the orc makeup and all the special effects, makeup and shit.
Everything in that movie is good. The casting is good. The locations are good. Like they did so much hard work, spent so many years, the script, everything, like they put it together so wonderfully. I mean, like I know there's criticism of the movie. I'm not saying they're perfect, but I agree with you, Paul. Like they just went that extra mile.
When it comes down to it, they picked a property, they optioned it, they found somebody with a vision for it, and they believed in the vision. They financed the vision. They stayed out of the way for the most part of the vision. And what we got was a great movie. And that's all that has to happen for these franchises. Like, they've got to stop. They got to take it out of the fucking boardroom. Stop making these movies by committee. Stop selling them down the river and filling them with fucking ad placement and shit and writing them to ad placement, and start treating them well. And people are, going to actually like the movies you make, and you'll make more money.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't get like, why even take something, why even adapt like a popular book series or something if you're going to just like totally fuck off the fans of that thing? Cause that's like your most built-in audience, right? Like there's no audience. That's like what you're doing this for is like, hey, this already has a built-in audience. Let's fucking do this. It's a fucking no-brainer. So if you're going to fuck those people, what are you even fucking doing it for? Like in the Dresden Files, there's this character. He's just like a talking skeleton. All he does, he's not a skeleton. It's just a skull. He's a skull on a shelf, but he talks. He's like got wise cracks and he's a pervert and shit. He makes, the bazongas on her, that kind of shit.
Right.
They turn him into like, okay, there's a skull, but then out of the skull comes a British guy.
Like what?
And then he's like, basically just a British guy now. It's like, instead of a talking skull, just a British guy. It's like, why would I want that? I could have.
How do you do, Harry? Spot of tea for you? Like what? What's going on?
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, fuck it. I don't know what fucking crack Hollywood is fucking on, man.
Orcs are too scary. Can we just have other humans be the enemy in Lord of the Rings?
It would be like that, yeah.
And Saruman, do we really want to have a bad wizard? Let's just cut that part out. It's like, when you start doing shit like that, and
I want to fucking drop you guys off in the alternate reality where fucking Michael Bay directed the Lord of the Rings movies.
Gollum is such a sad, depressing, and tragic character. Can we make him comedy relief? Can we just make him cute and make him like a Gurgi?
Frodo! Oh, God.
Frodo, it's me, Gollum.
I love you, Frodo. I love you to bits.
My precious, Frodo, I've learned that my real precious is you. You're my friend, Frodo.
I can't throw it in. Gollum will do it for you, Frodo. Give me the ring. No, I'll take it from you, Frodo. I sacrifice myself.
No!
What is this monstrosity?
Instead of the eye, out of the eye comes a British guy.
Yeah. Just a British guy like, cheerio, welcome to Mordor.
Yes. Sauron's the name and oppression's the game.
Played by Ray Liotta.
Oh, fuck, man. Come on. Quit piling it on. Apparently, Viggo Mortensen. I just went to Viggo Mortensen's IMDb because I was like, what's Viggo Mortensen done in a while? And I forgot he was just in that fucking Green Book that everyone fucking hated, but somehow still won Best Picture.
Some stuff. Like not anything that was like giant, but he's been in some shit.
I was looking up.
Overall,
Apparently, he's about to do some kind of Unabomber movie, so that's kind of cool.
Oh, he's playing Ted Kaczynski?
No, I was hoping he was too, but he's playing Jim Freeman. I don't know who that is. Probably some kind of investigator or some shit. But Viggo Mortensen is still cool, so
cool.
I haven't seen him in a while. Unabomber movie could be cool. I don't know. I don't know how honestly they'll handle Ted Kaczynski, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean it could be cool. Yeah, it's all depending on how they handle it, though.
Yeah, I mean, like if they just make him like. Especially like when you're actually using historical personages and shit to like just like, oh, they're just this one like broad stroke kind of character trait. They just make him like the fucking I'm just a deranged guy in the woods. I'm blowing people up. You know?
Yeah, if they don't get into it like the philosophy and the psychology behind it, and it's just like, yeah, he's just an evil dude in the woods making bombs. I'm gonna destroy the world. If it's just that, then fuck the movie. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, like they gotta they should really kind of get into like, I mean, obviously I don't expect it to be a crash course in like the philosophy of fucking Ted Kaczynski, but it should definitely address that.
I hope they treat him like Michael Douglas's character in Falling Down, where he's presented as this semi-sympathetic anti-hero, and then at the end he's like, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah, that would be the better way to do it.
Falling Down's a great movie.
Yeah, that is a good one.
That was like who directed that? It's some guy that
Joel Schumacher, actually.
Yeah, he's dead now, but that's actually one of his better movies.
Yeah,
like a great movie.
Joel had some good fucking movies. I mean, he had some really terrible ones too.
His Batman movies, he made 2 Batman movies? Did he make one?
He made both he made Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. Pretty bad. But he's made some good shit too. I mean, probably The Lost Boys, probably the thing that I would say was my favorite.
Yeah, that's a great movie. That's one of the best ending lines to a movie.
Yeah, I mean, the whole movie is pretty fucking cool.
So one problem with this place: too many goddamn vampires.
Oh, dude, you know what? The one that I hate Paul for is like point out that most endings suck. Because I was watching like Kung Fu Panda 2, and I'm like, man, it's a wholesome little family film. And it's all like he meets like his like goose dad, and it's all like, you are my dad. And it's like, oh my god, it's such a beautiful moment. They met, and, you know, Poe is like accepting him, and then it's all like, and they have this scene cut away. It's like, oh, the movie's ending. I forgot about this part. It's like, my son lives, and I'm just like, no, what the fuck, dude? They just made this emotional investment in this fucking character where it's all like he accepts his family has been lost, and he, you know, that this fucking goose or whatever the fuck character's name raised him and did all this stuff, and he loves him. And then they just totally sell that up the river like his dad's still alive.
Yeah, it happens so often in movies, dude. 90% of endings suck. They detract from the film that they are supposed to be wrapping up. And it's totally unnecessary too. Like, if you really start looking at it critically, it's super easy to look at a movie that has a bad ending and cut it earlier. Like, if the movie had ended here, good ending, roll credits, you know what I mean? Like, I've always thought, even though I revere it, like Aliens. So, you know, Ripley has the battle with the Queen and the loader, and she ends up flushing the Queen out of the airlock, right?
Oh, yeah, great.
And then Bishop's half body ends up helping to hold on to her and keep her from getting sucked into the airlock. And she hits that button. And there's this moment after she hits that button where the doors finally close and she rolls over and she's like, fade to black, roll the fucking credits. You know what I mean? Because the rest of the movie is just her like, tucking Newt into bed and like kissing her on the forehead and saying, sweetie, you don't have to have nightmares anymore. Everything's, you know, and it's just like,
yeah. Paul doesn't like a movie that like is like, well, that was a crazy adventure, y'all. See you later, audience. Bye bye.
I already know it was a crazy adventure. I just went on it with them. I don't need like old Joe to come in and go, well, the characters in this movie sure learned a lot of lessons, and what a crazy journey it was too.
That's kind of how the Big Lebowski is.
I know, but like it's used properly there.
Yeah,
it's used in a way that adds to the film because he's actually a character in the film. So it's like a way of drawing everything together.
Plus a movie that has a narrator. You expect the narrator to chime in at the end one last time and say something.
Sure. But you know, like
it's kind of like he's almost talking to you, like you're sitting at like you pulled up a seat at the bar, and it's like he's just told you this crazy story about the dude, and like that's what happened with the dude. And that's
what happened with the dude.
So like it does work in that film, and I think Paul's just saying a lot of times it's just ham-fisted. It's just to give the audience like, okay, Newt, and then of course the next film just shits all over that. No, Newt's dead now.
Like, The Big Lebowski has a great ending because it doesn't show you a montage of the dude being okay. It shows him coming up, and like it implies that he's okay because he walks up to the bar where the stranger is sitting, and he says, "Oh, how you doing, man?" And he said, "How you doing in the semis or whatever?" And he's like, ups and downs, strikes and gutters, my man. And he takes the beers, and you can tell the dude is happy again, and he walks away, and the narrator gives a little bit of a wrap up. It's a shame what happened to Donnie, but I got faith the dude's gonna abide or whatever, however he ends it. You know what I mean? That's good. Like the narrator was used throughout, and his lines actually added, not subtracted to the scenes. Like I love when he's gone for a while, and then the dude goes to Jackie Treehorns and gets drugged. And all of a sudden, the narrator's back at the start of that dream sequence where the guys are chasing him with the big scissors to cut his Johnson off and shit.
Yeah. So this is, I guess, just like a basic plot outline kind of thing with the introduction, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, the conclusion.
Sure.
And I think what Paul, what you're saying basically is that falling action is pretty much boring and usually unnecessary.
Not necessarily so, but in a lot of movies, yes. In a lot of movies, the falling act, what's being called falling action here is really just shit that we don't need to see. Like, I'm not saying you should end every film right at its apex or whatever.
Yeah.
But once its apex is wrapped up, in my mind, you've got like a minute to get the fuck out. It's like find a place to end this movie and be done with it. Leave us breathless. Leave us wanting more. Don't walk us down from the adrenaline rush. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like The Matrix has a great ending. It's a rare movie that's got a great ending. It's got like a little voiceover ending and shit too, which usually sucks, but it leaves you wondering like what happens. Neo is talking to the machine and he's saying, I'm going to free everybody and I'm going to tear you down. And then he flies away and come on. That's the way you end a movie. You end a movie with people's hearts still going like, you don't go like, go to bed, sweetie. It's all right. And then show the sun going down and then roll the credits over the sunset. You know what I mean? That's shit. It's like you just took everything, all the magic that movie did to get me pumped and then cucked me, blue-balled me at the end. Let me like leave that theater wanting more, like, oh, fuck, man, I can't wait for the next one of these movies. God damn, that movie was awesome, man.
I'll say this at the time. And a lot of people will probably give me fucking flack for this because like, beyond the first one, a lot of people hate these movies. I'm talking about the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. Like the second one, when fucking what's his name? Fucking Captain Barbossa walks into the set and like the whole fucking theater erupts like, oh my god! And then the movie ended like, because you're right, it fucking ended with the audience pumped like, oh my, what's fucking gonna happen? I mean, no, they weren't great movies, but it's still, you're right. Like when it was left with like, hey, this character, he's fucking back. You're like, yes. And it was like, that's it.
And then they cut you off, and they're like,
oh,
shit. Movie for that, and you leave the theater just wanting that movie to be twice as long, wanting that next sequel, wanting it now. Like that's how you do an ending for a serial type of movie. Now there are one-off movies that doesn't necessarily apply to.
Of course.
But it's a trick. It's a trick, but it's a trick that can be used that, in my mind, is way more effective and cool than the slow denouement with. The everything's okay and showing a little montage of their life and everything.
There's a good reason for it. I mean, like in a lot of films, there's just not that good reason. There's not any really reason to show them like, okay, we did the mission. Now we're going back home. It's like, it's just like, goodbye. It's like, that doesn't do anything.
Comedy movies back in the late 90s and early 2000s used to have a good way of doing that and still like ending the movie in a good place. Like the movie would end and then the credits would roll and then we would get all these credits sequences, like these little snapshots of the person's life afterwards.
Oh yeah, and then it's kind of like you can stick around for this shit if you want, but
Right,
you
it's a
know,
little extra shit. It lets you know, like, if you're interested to see what this character's going through later after the movie ends, here's some funny little snippets or whatever.
yeah, little
Enjoyable.
fucking slice of life kind of thing.
But like that is now just put in the movie.
Yeah.
Like they've stopped doing that, and then they just put all that shit into the movie, and the movie just doesn't know where to end. And I don't know.
One thing I can say about those terrible Roger Corman films that we watched is they always knew how to end on a fucking high note. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like the crab monster is like crab monster's dead. Credits.
Like even do you like The Usual Suspects?
Yeah.
Okay. So that movie has what a lot of people consider to be a good ending, but they fuck it up. They show Kevin Spacey standing up, and they start playing some of his lines, right, from the movie.
Yeah.
And that's not necessary. Like you already know what's happened by the look on his face, by the way his demeanor changes, all of the retreading of like, oh my God, it's like the movie. The reveal of Kaiser Sose to me is ruined by this, like, oh, look, he said this, and then there was this, and then there was this. I mean, I like the way that they show how he got some of the names and stuff, but the way that they actually cut back at the end and re-show the scenes of him, a scene of him going, and then, like a flash, he's gone.
Yeah, it's almost like they
like,
there's so many movies with like twists there's movies with twists like that like you go back and rewatch it, it's like, whoa, now that I'm watching it with like what I know, it's like you can see it before, but like this movie didn't want to let you do that. It was just like, we want to show you how clever we were now,
Yeah, when you have
how much more of a head holder would that scene have been if we just were allowed to slowly come to the realization of what happened, that Verbal Kent was kind of the whole time.
More powerful scene, but you're right. It becomes ham-fisted and it becomes over the top and like, oh, remember all these lines, everything. Like the editor basically goes and hand holds you to like, okay, it's like you guys have seen Rashomon, I'm sure. It's like imagine at the end, it's like, okay, here, let's give you this very ham-fisted tie up of all of it. It's like, no, you don't get that. You figure it. You watch the movie, you figure it out. You infer what you infer, and that's the end. There's no, okay, now we're going to lead you into this scene and this scene. Remember when the spirit said this? And remember when this character said this? And remember, it's like, you know how much stupid pointless.
I think Rashomon should have ended? I think they should have had a thing come on the screen and say, but here's the real story.
Here's what actually happened.
Dude, what's that movie called with Nicole Kidman in it? The Others. Have you seen The Others?
A long time ago.
It actually has a really good movie. It's a movie that, like, I tell people, like, watch that movie if you want to see a movie that's got, like, the movie itself you may not like all that much. The twist you might guess or whatever the fuck. It's one of those twist movies, but it has a great ending. It ends in a way that like lets you fucking infer what happens in the future as it goes along. And it seems like a pretty simple thing to do, but I guess it's not, because so many movies fucking fall short of the mark.
Dude, if you guys have either of you guys seen One Cut of the Dead?
Yes.
I love that fucking movie.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Sky, you seen that movie?
No, I haven't.
You got to watch that movie, dude. It's like a magic trick. You got to really pay attention, but it's like a magic trick in 3 parts.
Yeah, it's really good.
It's pretty fucking crazy. I don't even want to. I mean, it's
kind of hard to not.
You just gotta watch it, dude. You gotta trust me on this.
Well, I'm sure I can read a synopsis online, anyways.
I mean, it's
that's non-spoilerly.
All right, so I can read you the fucking synopsis. I don't even want you to read the synopsis, dude. Just fucking watch the movie.
I don't know, TJ.
Dude, I'm telling you, this is not. It's got a 7.7 on IMDb, and it's actually really good.
And it feels like this like a ninth gate.
It's not. I'm not fucking with you. This is actually good. Just watch the fucking movie. Magic trick in 3 parts, Scotty.
I don't know, T. I feel like I feel like the magic trick is getting me to watch this fucking thing.
No.
I kind of felt that way about Parasite as well. Like,
I finally saw that. I don't know if I mentioned that. I saw that.
Yeah. Parasite is a movie that just
what do you think of it?
It's almost in 3 acts, and each act defies your expectations built by the first act. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's another great movie. It kind of is
a super relevant film for this time. I mean, the way that family lives. I love to see the beginning where like they're fumigating like the streets. It's like dad's like, open the windows, free. It's free. It's like, oh,
Free
God.
poison.
Free poison. Let it in.
Yeah.
Like literally living in the gutter, dude. Almost not even just figuratively, just literally living in the gutter. That's a great fucking movie. Well, damn, it's been about 40 minutes. You guys
All
wanna wrap?
right. So thank you guys for tuning in to the Grease Trap. We'll see you next time with more greasy, trappy goodness.
Bye.
Fuck off and die.
Big fat pride.